Whatever experience you come across, you yourself are witness to those experiences. Witness always remains the same. Experiences keep changing. That is why we don't attach ourselves with these experiences, and time and again we find ourselves confronting dilemma about the truth.
Guruji, there are emotions which hinder our quest to know and explore ourselves. For example, take attachment. What are its negative and positive aspects? Please elucidate and elaborate its causes and remedial measures.
Attachment is a part of your nature, which exists in you right from your birth. When a child is born, then he is made to lick honey, lick it again and again. And when the child licks the finger with honey, he develops the taste. Once he likes the taste, then he starts asking for it again and again. If he's getting it, he's happy, he's delighted. Or anything which is that sugary and tasty makes him immensely delighted. He remains happy. He is truly contented. The moment he is denied this, the child starts crying. Fixation towards something or anything. And the very desire of having it again and again, this very tendency, in fact, is what we call attachment. This attachment starts with delight. When we derive delight from having something, we want to have it again and again. We want to grab it repeatedly. Repeatedly, we want to have a firm hold on it. And this very tendency gradually becomes a part of your nature. Now, be it towards any person or towards anything. And this very tendency of attachment gradually instills in you a habit of collection. Now you will see that a huge number of people are affected by attachment. Small kids always crave for toys. You just give them some toys, they become happy. If their collection of toys gets richer, then they become even happier. Whenever he gets an opportunity to go to a market with his mother or father, there he gets to see lots of toy shops. He wants to have each and every toy, and so he exerts pressure on his parents in his own way. Otherwise, he starts crying, and he uses crying as a weapon to persuade his mother and father, and he tries to get the toy by any means. Root cause of all this is attachment. Once instilled, this tendency gradually keeps growing. And it becomes so intense. Many of us get attached to our houses. Some of them get attached to their wealth and money. Many feel attachment for their clothes. Many get attached with the jewelry. Many get attached with their industries. Many get fixated to annexation of a country. Many of us develop an attachment to put people in their own governance. Many of us develop an attachment to control the minds of other people. And this attachment gradually surrounds that person, and that personality gets completely submerged in obsession.
You told us that attachment gives delight, and you also said that man has the nature of looking for and having it.
Every emotion we have that has a fixed and certain zenith which it tries to achieve, and that very zenith is bliss. Every emotion progresses to get unified with bliss. And in this process, wherever there are obstacles, a man's emotion rebel and distract him. They also incite you. They even enchant you and make you bewildered, bemused, and even irrational.
Then how should one perceive attachment?
The root cause of attachment is delight. Any delight you are deriving from anywhere, from your presumption or any object or any person, you just tend to forget that you are attributing delight to that person or to that object and perceive this very attribution as your delight. And when this attribution stops, then you are definitely established at the zenith of bliss, because that is your own identity.
So many people get habituated to various addictions, and they draw real delight from these addictions.
That is not delight really, that is just an illusion of delight. Since your whole individuality with delight is your real identity, its form of bliss, you never get detached with this. But these vices give you happiness just for a while, and this momentary pleasure attracts your attention again and again. And consequently, you end up getting addicted to these vices. When a dog, when it comes across a bone, then it starts chewing it. And the dog keeps on chewing the bone until its gum starts bleeding. And the dog thinks that the blood is coming out from that bone. But actually, the dog keeps tasting its own blood and keeps hurting and wounding its own gums over and over, again and again. This is the reflection of its attachment. More or less every human being possesses this tendency. In fact, everyone gets affected with this.
What is the positive aspect of attachment?
Attachment can be perceived as having positive element also, because that is a source of energy which has got you obsessed. That is an extension of conscience. Reflection of your conscience. If with the help of the reflection of your conscience, you reach to the depth of its existence, then this only is the positive aspect of it. This only is the actual recipient stage of attachment. And this attachment can get you to know your real self.
How can we say that something is good and something is not?
Liking something or disliking something entirely depends on one's perspective. And this varies from person to person.
What I mean to say and ask is that the very desire to know absolute soul or own real self, is it not a form of attachment?
This is an extension of nature. Nature is not attachment. Getting attached to something and establishing your attachment, you need to have a separate entity. If you are enchanted to something, then you are getting enchanted to something beautiful which has a separate existence. As a matter of fact, the reality is this is the beauty of your inner soul. You are just attributing it to that person or to that thing. And this is the basic reason you are finding this person or that thing beautiful.
What is the basic reason of attachment? Beauty or your own desire?
Your desire only is the reason of attachment. Beauty is mere a quality. Getting attached to the quality is not an apt description.
But there are numerous examples of sages getting enchanted by the physical beauty of the absolute entity.
Getting attached to Supreme Soul, practically speaking, is not harmful to anyone. This conducive attachment takes you to some another level and establishes you in your own individuality. And therefore, this is called positive attachment.
Accumulating wealth and striving hard to make our lives prosperous. Is it a positive or a negative attachment?
When we human beings come into this world, we come with our hands closed. And when we leave this world, then our hands remain open. This very journey, from the birth to the death, that is life for us. And to sustain this journey, all the necessary support and resources we require, we take it from the nature around us. And the resources we have extracted from the nature, it is our prime duty to return them back. If we are unable to perform this duty, this means we are not proceeding on the right way.
If someone earned too much and relinquished everything, that means he had this desire to earn and simultaneously make a name and fame for himself.
If you earn in the right amount, with the right intention, if you earn a lot of money and donate a major part of it, then the person who you intend to do this charity, you are not doing any favor. Rather, you are only favoring yourself. Because whatever you have earned so far, you have earned it from the nature around you. Therefore, it must go back where it has come from. And if you are doing this, you are simply performing your duty. If I keep on borrowing everything and thereafter call myself a prosperous person, then this is nothing but an utter foolishness. We sow one grain of a cereal, and this single grain, after losing its existence, comes out in the form of hundreds of grains in this world, and millions of people get benefited. If we have this sacrifice in ourselves, then this accumulation is quite rational. And if we don't practice this sacrifice, then we don't really deserve to accumulate. We should not indulge in it. Utility of wealth is in public welfare. It is for the happiness of people, comfort of people. No one has eaten money ever. So far, no one has chewed notes or currency to fill his empty stomach. No one can ever eat gold and silver. This will never ever happen.
What is the ramification of attachment on mind, intellect, conscience, and ego?
See, repeated desire for something is attachment. Your mind and intellect are equally involved in this. Your intellect again and again provokes you that the thing is good, 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 and the mind commands get it, get it, get it. So when mind and intellect decide that the thing is required, although the thing is not required, and then only the entire process gets initiated, which even can turn to be violent also. Then you are not doing any good to the society. You are simply harming it. Because each and every person who is living life on this planet, in this world, enjoys an equal right over these natural resources. Everybody must have an access to his proper share. If anyone is not getting it, that means we are stealing someone else's share. And this stealing is very detrimental to your internal development.
In pursuit of absolute attainment or reaching to absolute soul, normally people abstain from worldly life, or they get neglected and discarded, whereas customary day-to-day routine is necessary for a worldly life. How should one maintain a balance between austerity and mundane life?
You are a very clever man, and the way you asked your question, that shows how clever you are. When we do some kind of business or are in a regular job, then we generally go to our work in the morning and keep working there till evening. Wherever we are working and contributing as per our capacity, we are doing well to that organization. And while doing good to that organization, we do good to ourselves also. Our promotion depends upon the progress of the organization. Our increment depends upon the progress of the organization. If you look things in this way, then you will be able to know your true perspective.
Can you please give an example of positive attachment?
In order to inculcate virtues, if you get attached, then it would be called positive attachment. For the welfare of the people, you inculcate sacrifice and generosity in you. And if you make repeated effort to practice this, then it is positive attachment. A doctor, without being partial, spends a satisfying time with his patients and makes every effort to heal them, to cure them. And he is craving for this. This also is positive attachment.
What is the difference between craving and attachment?
Craving is extreme attachment.
Why does this craving happen?
Strong insatiable desire generates it.
Why do we have strong and insatiable desire?
You want to draw delight from specific something. Liking it will give you happiness. This is a myth. This is an illusion. Just an illusionary concept.
Then why should we love the God Almighty?
Because that is your own identity and you are already in love with yourself. You don't make effort to like yourself. You yourself are the desired one. It's not like getting God Almighty. This is attainment of attained. You cannot attain God Almighty. You yourself are God Almighty. So you are attaining the attained only. Already attained.
If reaching God Almighty is attainment of attained only, then where should we search for it?
You don't have to search for it. You have to feel it. You have to inculcate it. Something is searched for when it gets lost. In fact, only lost things are searched. What we already have is never searched for. Do you know anyone who says that I am gone and lost?
Where do we find God?
That is what I am saying. That is you only. That is why you don't need to make a quest. You just have to go through it. Almighty resides in some certain place. He is residing in heaven. This is basically illusion. A saint of Maharashtra says, Krishna Dayanand Maharaj, Hariha apanachi jagajhala. This simply means he himself is God. He is not limited to specific area. Whatever and whenever you see, whatever you are feeling and perceiving, that is nothing but the presence of God Almighty. That may be personified with a form or may be formless simply.
Presuming I believe that God is inside me. Yet, according to sages, God is very much inside others also. How should one identify that?
One who sees God inside himself feels him vividly, perceives him clearly, experiences him profoundly everywhere universally. When I start to feel my own conscience, then whenever and wherever I look around, I find same conscience in the things before me, the person sitting before me. This is why I never find any difference between me and the thing or that person. I carry an acute similarity with the person, an acute connect with that thing, a certain connection.
Is delight state or an emotion?
Delight itself is the nature of individual. This is not an emotion. This is only the nature.
How do we inculcate nature?
One's nature is not inculcated, it is the portrayal of oneself.
Normally, we say that he will act or work according to his nature.
In day-to-day life, nature has different connotations. In day-to-day life, nature can be definitely developed because you struggle within the three virtues of your nature. There is Tamogun, Rajogun and Satogun, and this is called world. Going beyond these virtues is going beyond the world and attain a level of serenity. These three virtues overpower your mind, overpower your intellect, overpower your conscience, and overpower your ego. If you are beyond these three basic instincts, then you get enlightened, which is your actual nature, and you are bliss personified. To reach that stage, you don't need to practice austerity or make extra effort.
You have told us that the absolute entity is beyond these basic instincts, whereas Eknath Maharaj addresses Datta Maharaj as Trigunatmak Tremurti during his Aarti.
Yes, during Aarti, during Datta Maharaj's Aarti, it's always chanted Trigunatmak
Tremurti,
Trayamurti
Datta Hadana.
Datta Hadana. This is the mantra chanted in Aarti. Trigunatmak Trayamurti. See, you are trying to unravel and know a very profound scientific mystery. Our Dharm Shastras believe creation, existence and rhythm. All three symptomatic phases have been attributed to different gods. Lord Brahma is the Lord of creation. Lord Vishnu is the Lord of existence. And Lord Shiva is worshipped as the God of rhythm. If you understand these things in a scientific way, then you will take a fundamental particle. That particle is defined very particularly in modern science. That fundamental particle has a central point where the neutron is placed. Alongside, proton is found, and the electron moves around the circumference of neutron and proton. Our Indian chronology, and according to the modern scientific chronology, the span of life of an atom equals the lifespan of Lord Brahma. The lifespan of proton represents the lifespan of Vishnu. The lifespan of a neutron is lifespan of Lord Shiva.
What do origin, existence, and rhythm mean? Virtues or anything else?
These are all internal processes. These are relative processes. These don't occur one after another. These are interrelated incidents happening one after another. When a child takes birth, his arrival to world, his establishment here, and commencement of his journey towards his death, this would be his life cycle. The moment one is born, one's journey towards death commences. And with the commencement of death, the process of rebirth gets initiated.
It means the continuous awareness of death is the real worship.
One who always lives in present, he keeps on feeling death every moment.
If it is so, then how regular awareness of death is meditation?
What you were 2 minutes back, you are not the same person this moment. Your stage of life of previous minutes has met its natural death.
So believing in this maxim is real meditation.
No, not believing, in fact experiencing. Tell me, how old are you?
40 years.
So, the day you have come into this world, counting 40 years from that day, isn't this a relative calculation? According to our Shastras, even according to our science, the arrival and existence of man on this planet has been very recent. From the perspective of the creation of this planet Earth.
An emotion is a power. If this power is channelized in the right direction, then we can attain self. Can we know that how attachment towards something or some person is being channelized to get positive ramification? And by that, we can attain self.
Attachment happens to be an energy. If you use this energy properly, you will find your real self. Normally, we tend to waste and misuse this energy. Extreme accumulation of something is the cause of attachment. If this attachment is directed towards certain target, like achieving something for our own sake, enchanted with it, we make efforts for it, we try to get the thing. After that, our inner powers get activated. We get blessed by sages and saints as well. With the precious blessings of absolute entity, we automatically and simply get to know ourselves from within. Somebody wants to be millionaire, this is attachment. Somebody wants to be the leader, this is attachment. Somebody wants to be the chief minister, this is attachment. Someone wants to be a big musician, this also is attachment. But what is divine and what is magnificent? That is Satyam, Shivam and Sundaram. If our every effort is directed towards this, if we get attached to achieving this, then by using this positive energy of attachment, we can reach our soul.
To reach an attained height, there are various different steps. For example, if a person is musician, then his obsession is to be a good musician. If a person is an artist, his obsession is to be a good artist. So these are these small steps by which a person can and tries to reach the self-attainment.
Yes, you are right.
Then how does the transformation of attachment takes place?
Transformation of energy takes place through many mediums. Negative energy changes into positive one. Depression is supposed to be a very unpleasant and dangerous state of mind of us humans. If somebody is suffering from depression, then we would simply take him to any psychologist, or we simply advise him to go and visit some psychologist and get yourself checked and cured. This depression is both negative as well as positive. If we take this depression in a positive way, then this depression serves as a platform for a new beginning. This is just a stage before this new beginning. The moment we take this depression positively, our mind and body both start to produce internal energy. And this energy, which is being used to bring a new beginning, or the energy which is the aim of this whole process, is utilized to achieve a hugely constructive objective. You must have heard about the devastating cyclones or the violent oceanic storms. The center of it is as tiny as a needle's point. These are called environmental depressions. And when, due to this stormy depression, the bed of an ocean gets quiet and they become very calm, they become very empty, and a depression is formed, then weather departments release forecasts and precautions. The department related informs that a depression has occurred at this particular place. Some place has been detected as low pressure zone and there is every chance of cyclone there. In the same manner, a depression develops in our system internally. Then our mind, intellect and conscience get fixed and inane. They become totally inactive. And then only a huge amount of constructive, creative and useful energy gets generated. And at this moment, the process of new beginnings start. All the prominent scientists of the world, all the known artists of the world, all the eminent musicians of the world, all the famous painters of the world, whatever creations they have come forward with are the outcomes of the depression. The outcome of this depression has enabled them to create such masterpieces. Remaining focused in their depression, assimilating that depression, and using that internal energy, they discovered themselves. But if that depression assumes a negative bent and forces the person to have negative approach and negative tendencies, then he could even take an extreme step and try to find refuge in suicide. Therefore, to get the positive ramification of any type of depression and to get rid of that negativity, you depend only on blessings. And those blessings are being showered upon you always. Blessings are immensely necessary. Blessings of a divine Guru. And we must constantly try to get them.
There are people who have positive ramifications of depression, and there are people who have negative ramifications of the same. Are they aware of these two approaches?
People who couldn't bear depression and turned to negativity, they have truly ruined their lives. They have harmed the society big time. They have harmed the nation. But people who have channelized this depression towards positivity have rebuilt their lives. They have contributed to society. They have contributed to nation. They have done welfare and contributed to the world. Every single saint of our country, every single sage of our country, they all in their own lives and stages, in one way or another, has been affected by this depression. But using this very depression as a resource, only to come out of it completely, by taking the help of the energy which transformed their entire personality and also individuality. They transformed themselves, got unified with absolute entity, and they did welfare to the world.
We all go through internal churning. How does one get to feel it?
One who sees it experiences it.
How does one know a percipient?
You yourself know the percipient, because you yourself are conscious. Percipient itself is conscience. A wife's husband is also the father of his son, is also a son of his father, is also a son of his mother. He also is the chairman of some office. He knows to carry all these different relations. He is aware of them. And his conduct depends on individual relations. In the same manner, when someone's conscience becomes percipient, then he as a percipient starts to develop a different perspective to see emotions. With a great love and with a great delight and great satisfaction, he experiences it. Whenever he fails to remain a percipient, he gets frustrated. Like you accepted chairmanship of the company, so you are. You have accepted marital conditions, so you are a husband or a wife. You have accepted paternity, so you are a father of a child. You have accepted to be a child, so you are a child of a father.
But tell us, how should one give up being a percipient?
You don't have to give up the insights of a percipient, they often remain with you. And when you actually don't need them, then you don't really find them.
When is it that you don't need to be a percipient?
When a company's chairman comes home to his family, he is not a chairman in fact. He comes home as a regular member of the family. When he goes back to the office, he goes there as a chairman and starts behaving in accordance with that.
There are two extremes of illiberal and liberal approaches, and one has to take an internal journey through them.
Illiberal approach means the shrinkage of power. And when the power gives up shrinking, then it starts expanding and progressing towards infinity. This only is the progress of life. This is a man's internal journey towards finding his own self.
In the quest of finding self, instincts of a human being keep distracting him at different levels, and he gets so distracted and disillusioned that he fails to perceive the circumstances, let alone knowing self. How should one face this situation?
As long as a human being does not become a percipient, he would not be able to control his corruptible instincts. Instinct contains three qualities, which are tamogun, rajogun, and satogun. According to the quality of the instinct, the behavior of the person will act according to that instinct and function.
Where does the quest for knowledge end?
Gaining knowledge is a relative phenomenon. If you don't wish to know anything, then the process won't start.
Does there come a situation where the urge to know vanishes?
One who manages to find self, he doesn't wish to know anything else. He doesn't need that. One who is conscience personified, one who has interacted with his conscience, he starts to experience his conscience all over the world and beyond it. He doesn't experience anything else apart from this.
After knowing self, a person doesn't have any urge to know anything. This is completely understandable. But till he gets to know his own identity, how should he face these difficulties?
Whatsoever is happening around us, that is a part of the process of the learning. A small kid is admitted to a school. He gets through lower nursery, he gets through upper nursery, then he gets admitted to standard 1 and then in second standard. Then he passes 10th, then he passes 12th. When he passes 10th standard, he decides to pursue a certain stream of education. He wants to pursue arts, he wants to pursue commerce, or he wants to take science. And then, accordingly, he starts studying his chosen subjects. Then in 12th, he decides again whether he wants to go for engineering, for Bachelor of Arts, or he wants to do BCom. And after determining his goal, he surges ahead in his life. He completes the education he opted for and goes on to reach his desired ambition.
This means that everyone is going through the process of development and moving ahead by himself.
He may wish or he may not, but the absolute power holds this wish. That transformation of every being into Shiva is the ultimate destination. This is why the absolute power involves itself right from the beginning to make everybody Shiv. Man's gradual progress, his basic nature is to become Shiv. This is why, wittingly or unwittingly, everybody, through his various deeds and through his continuous progression, is trying to reach and attain soul of his own Shiva.
But an opposite of it can also take place.
If inverse, it is relative. Shiva only through power becomes a human being. Shiva only through ignorance becomes a human being. Shiv that is ignorant is human being. The human being after shedding ignorance is Shiv.
Can we say that it is a reduction of status?
Not a reduction of status. This is merely a covering.
What is the difference?
When the conscience covers the individual, then he turns into a material man. And he gives up his materialism, he becomes spiritual Shiva.